Now, how old should children or young people be before they're allowed to have their own smartphone? What do you reckon? Let me know your thoughts on this, please, on the text, WhatsApp and phones this morning. It's a question we talked about a lot recently here on BBC Radio York. But today, the Labour government's going to introduce a private members' bill aimed at tackling the amount of screen time that some children have. And they're also looking at banning smartphones in schools completely. Now, that particular aspect of it is something that's already being talked about in York. Next month, head teachers are going to meet to discuss the possibility of becoming the first city in the north to ban smartphones in schools. And at Fishergate Primary, many parents have already signed a pledge saying they won't buy phones for their kids. Just have a listen to the BBC's Amy Garcia. She's been to Fishergate Primary to talk to children and staff there about how they feel.
I hear people say that they want like these new phones, like iPhone 16, and because some of my friends have already got phones since they were like 5, 7.
I don't think it's good for little children to have smartphones because it might stop them from learning properly and affects their, how they be at school.
I've got at least 4 friends which have phones, and sometimes I can hear them talking about phones or new games that only can be accessed on phones, and I think it's a bit not fair when I want to have a phone.
A smartphone may be the top of some children's wish list, but the head at this primary school is hoping parents won't deliver. Last year, around 3/4 of 10 and 11-year-olds at Fishergate left primary school owning a smartphone. It's something Tina Clark is trying to change.
We have communicated to parents that we want them not to buy their child a smartphone while they are in primary school, ideally not until they're 14. And this year we were really clear from the outset that this was our school policy and this is what we hoped that our parents would buy into.
Tell me about the issues that you've had around smartphones in the past.
We've, in a number of occasions over the last few years, had situations that have happened outside of school, inappropriate messages, some online bullying. We've had one child a year that we know of who has been groomed, and the police have been involved. That really opened our eyes to how vulnerable smartphone use can make our children.
If you have young children, you'll know they often want what their friends have got. But if the school is asking parents not to buy smartphones, helps with that pester pressure a bit, doesn't it?
Yes, sometimes they consider teachers more than parents.
Having some support from the school in terms of a policy around that's really helpful for parents, I think.
At some point when you're a teenager, peer pressure plays a role. So if there are more kids doing the same and more families doing the same, I think it's going to be helpful for them.
Parent Governor Alison Pawley has been inspired by the grassroots parent-led movement Smartphone Free Childhood. Next month, she'll lead a meeting of primary school heads and hopes York will become the first city in the north to implement a citywide ban.
This will really help shift that norm where it's completely normal for an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old to have a smartphone. St Albans is a perfect example where heads and parents came together to make a citywide ban, and I'm hoping that York can do the same.
So some of the parents, pupils and staff there at Fishergate Primary in York chatting to the BBC's Amy Garcia, just telling her how they feel about that potential smartphone ban in schools. Now, it's not just parents in York who are concerned about their children having smartphones. I'm sure you've got a view on it this morning. If you want to get in touch, you're welcome to. And let's have a chat with Anna. Now, Anna is a mum of 3 from Harrogate. None of her children have smartphones. She's on the line this morning to tell us why. Morning, Anna.
Morning, Steve. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Good to have you with us. So, first of all, just to put this into some kind of context, Anna, do you mind me asking how old your children are?
Yeah, of course. I've got 3 children. My youngest is 8, my middle child is 9, and my oldest has just started senior school. She's 11 and she's just started year 7 as a minority without a smartphone.
I get you. A minority, right. So why make the decision not to give your children smartphones?
So I think there's so much evidence now about the harm that smartphones can do to children, and I think it's like having a supercomputer and access to the entire world and also the entire world having access to your child in their pocket. And so my daughter has lots and lots of access to tech, but she has it in a way where I'm in control of it, and I can help her to learn how to use things safely. I think there's an awful lot of research that shows that the smartphone came out in 2010, and teenage mental health has declined significantly since 2010. And so for me, I want her to learn how to use tech, but I want her to use it in a way where I'm parenting her with it. I'm not just going, here's access. And so that's been a decision that we've made as a family.
So what would you say, Anna, to some parents in York and North Yorkshire who might be listening and thinking, well, you can and should give a smartphone to quite young people and children, as long as they've got parental controls on, limits that you as a parent can put onto those smartphones?
I think every family is different. I think my experience of my own children is they can do all sorts of things with tech that I don't even know they're doing. As an example, we'll come down and put the TV on, and everyone's Netflix avatars will have changed, or they just know how to do things that we don't necessarily know how to do. I've also read lots and lots of books about this and articles where children have navigated around the parental controls and done what they need to do, and then deleted everything so that it looks like they've done nothing. I think children are inherently good, but they're also curious, and we want to find out more. And if we give them a tool to go and find out the everything that's on the internet, then potentially children are curious and will find a way to navigate themselves around those parental controls.
What's your 11-year-old said to you about the fact that they're in the minority at school and that they don't have a mobile phone?
So I think all through year 6 there was increased pressure as her friends got mobile phones, and as she started year 7, we had some quite honest and frank conversations around it. She does have a Nokia flip phone, and that's given her increased independence. So she does call me to say, hey, I'm going to go to my friend's house, or hey, I'm going to nip into town. And so now that she has that, she's pretty happy. She has the independence in the real world through having a flip phone without having independence in an online world. I think it's fair to say that she's definitely not part of lots of WhatsApp groups, but I think she gets that, and she also gets that there's a time cost. All of her friends who are spending hours and hours scrolling online or being in large social media groups, she's doing sport, she's doing other things which I hope help her to grow into a really happy older teen and adult. So she does feel left out sometimes, but I think she also gets that this is coming from a place of love and of wanting to keep her safe.
Yeah. So just finally then, moving forward, when would you be happy to allow her to have a smartphone, and what policies would you like to see in schools surrounding smartphones?
So I have signed up to the Smartphone Free Childhood Pact, which says that I am agreeing to delay access to buying my children a smartphone until they're age 14, and I will live by that. I think this has now got a spotlight shining on it, and there will be more research that comes out. But for now, with the current guidance, I think 14 is a good place to start and teach children how to use smartphones safely. The school my daughter's at does have a pretty strict policy about them being in bags all day, and if they're seen, they're confiscated. I would love to get to a place where we have smartphone free schools, and that means either smartphones don't come to schools and children use brick phones instead, or that there's some sort of place that they're left, because I think even in their bag is potentially distracting. And I would love to see that on for me, a Harrogate-wide level, or take it broader, a Yorkshire level, or actually let's take it broader on a UK level. And I think that the bill that's being proposed is the start of that.
All right. Anna, it's been a pleasure chatting to you this morning. Thank you very much for talking to us about the subject. Really appreciate it.